They gave her the rifle as if it were a joke. A battered sniper, its scope smudged, its barrel heavier than her thin arms seemed capable of carrying. "Just hold it," one of the men muttered, grinning as if the mere sight of her with it would be entertainment enough. She felt their eyes pressing against her like weights. To them, she wasn't a soldier. She was a placeholder, a paper figure in a war where steel and reputation mattered more than courage. But as the weapon rested in her hands, something shifted inside her chest. She wasn't holding it for them. She was holding it for herself. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. The field stretched out in front of her, a vast plain scarred by weeks of artillery fire. The air still smelled faintly of iron and dust. Beyond it, faint specks of movement betrayed the enemy's forward scouts. Her heart beat unevenly, a rhythm that both frightened and steadied her. She had been overlooked, underestimated, left in the shadows. And yet, in that moment, she realized shadows could hide the sharpest blades. Her hands trembled as she adjusted the rifle. She remembered her brother's voice, soft but firm, years before he vanished at the border. "Don't ever let anyone decide your worth." The memory hit her with such force that she almost lost her breath. She thought she'd never hear him again. She was wrong. His words were alive inside her, guiding her as surely as the crosshairs she now aligned. The men around her had gone silent, their earlier laughter slipping away as they noticed how steady she had become. No nervous chatter, no wide-eyed panic. Only the stillness of someone who had finally found their purpose. The barrel of the rifle, so heavy minutes ago, now felt like an extension of her heartbeat. The first shot cracked through the wind. A scout, hundreds of meters away, dropped before his body even knew it was hit. The silence behind her broke, not with cheers, but with stunned whispers. Some muttered her name, others gasped. And then she did the unthinkable. She adjusted her aim again. And again, one by one, like notes in a haunting song. Her bullets landed with impossible precision, etched 3,000 meters, her breath caught. The mirage of distance, the shimmer of heat, the cruel trick of air currents, all of it should have defeated her. But the scope became her world. A single figure moved, a commander pointing orders. She steadied herself, lips dry, the faint taste of iron on her tongue. And then she pulled. The rifle kicked, the world went still, and when sound returned, the commander was gone. The men who had given her the weapon, just to hold, were no longer grinning. They were staring in disbelief. She had done what none of them dared to imagine. She had struck at 3,500 meters, a range whispered about in legend, not reality. For a heartbeat, pride filled her chest. But then came the doubt. Was it triumph, or had she crossed a line that would haunt her forever? The war demanded blood, but her soul still craved peace. She closed her eyes, whispering to herself that she hadn't pulled the trigger for glory, or even for the men who mocked her. She had pulled it for survival, for the brother she lost, for the silent women who had been told to stand aside, for the truth that worth is never given, only claimed. When she finally lowered the rifle, the soldiers behind her began to clap. It was slow at first, hesitant, but then it spread, a tide of recognition. They weren't clapping for the shot. They were clapping for her, for the quiet defiance that turned disbelief into respect. Because courage isn't measured by who hands you the weapon. It's measured by what you do when the world tells you you're unworthy. And so, in the dust of that war-torn plain, she found herself. They gave her a sniper to hold, but she had held something greater, her own unshakable truth. Because kindness doesn't vanish. It waits, and it finds its way back. The war would move on. Battles would rage and fade. But her story would remain. A story not of a rifle, but of a woman who proved that sometimes the sharpest edge of history is carved in silence. If you felt her courage today, share your thoughts in the comments. And make sure to subscribe for more stories that remind us of the strength we often overlook.